Hi guys, today we're going to be taking a look at BitFenix Neos. Now this new mid-tower is BitFenix's most aggressively priced case to date, and as an entry-level case it's ideal for those guys that are perhaps on a tight budget. And the exciting thing about this new case is the fact that it's available in a vast array of different flavours so that you can construct your system in exactly the style that you want. BitFenix Neos is available in a windowed or non-windowed version and two base tones, black or white, and then a variety of different colours. And the objective with this new case is to really demonstrate that entry-level cases needn't be lifeless or dull. So Neos is available to buy now. In the UK you're looking at around £30, and over in the States it's $50. So it's probably going to be the cheapest branded case that you're going to be able to get your hands on, and it's likely to be featured on many shortlists for low-cost builds. So I'm now going to jump in as always, take a good look at this new case, and I hope you enjoy the video. The front of Neos features a front panel which is heavily perforated, and BitFenix has actually engineered this panel to have larger ventilation holes to help increase the airflow for the front cooling fans. In the lower region there is a black metallic BitFenix logo, and in the upper region we've got two 5 1/4 bay covers which again follow that perforated mesh design. The front panel can be completely detached from the chassis with a small pull. And on the inside of that fascia there are foam pads covering the fan placements to collect any dust which perhaps can make its way beyond the dust filter. And this dust filter unclips from the chassis and it conceals two 120mm cooling fan spots. And both of those locations are optional, so there aren't any included at the front here. Up at the top of Neos we have the front panel connectivity, which includes the following. We've got a power button, a reset button, headphone and microphone jacks, power and activity LEDs, one USB 2 port and one USB 3 port. And these controls are actually the only noteworthy feature at the top of the case, because as you can see the top panel is completely solid and without any distinct design such as ventilation. And again, in similar fashion to that of the top section, the side panels are completely solid steel without any standout features, and both panels are fixed onto the case with two easy to remove thumb screws. And with that side panel removed, we can take an initial look at the layout and the features. So Neos can accommodate ATX and micro ATX motherboard form factors. So we've dropped in our ATX test rig, and the internals, as you can see, are all powder coated black, and there are various tool-free mechanisms to improve the ease of use. Okay, we're now going to move in and take a closer look at the different sections within Neos. I'm going to start at the power supply. Now there is support here for extended units, and at BitFenix include a handy, easy to remove dust filter on the underside there. Now on the underneath of the unit there are 4 mounts for the unit to sit on, but unfortunately there's no rubber there for soft cushioning or anti-vibration. Above this there are 7 expansion slots, and by default the top cover there is missing from the case, and the reason for this is down to most system builders using that very top position for the graphics card. Now the only downside to these covers is that they are disposable, and so once you've removed them they cannot be reattached. So by now you probably realise there are no cooling options at the very top of Neos, since that panel is completely sealed off. But there is a 120mm rear exhaust fan at the very back there, and that is going to be primarily responsible for flushing out any unwanted heat. Over on the front side there are 3 5 1/4 drive bays, but only 2 of them are tool free. Now these mechanisms work by simply being twisted into that locking position once the drive is in place. In the lower section at the front here we have various storage options, which include support for both 2.5-inch and 3.5-inch drives. Now BitFenix has designed Neos to have the 2.5-inch at the very top there, just to give you a bit of a slight indentation to provide better compatibility for the graphics card. So in total you can store up to 6 drives. Here in a 2.5-inch you can see we've got this little tray, and all you need to do is drop 4 screws into the underside. And then for the 3.5-inch we've got a tray, and these actually extend out like this, you can see. So that's really useful because sometimes it can be quite tricky to get that drive into there and then have to bend the actual tray. But with that extender there, that's really handy to have, and that simply slots into place. Now both of these cages are riveted, so you cannot remove them unless you do a bit of advanced modding. Next, we're going to identify the clearance limitations for NEOS, and we're going to start at the CPU cooler. So BitFenix specify up to 158mm in height for the CPU cooler support. So our Noctua NH-U12P, which is installed, is an excellent verification test, as this is exactly 158mm in height. And so you can clearly see here that it is extremely tight, but we're pleased to report that the side panel does fit onto the case with this cooler attached. Since some of the bigger CPU coolers such as the Noctua NH-D14, D15 and the Thermalright Silver Arrow are around 160mm, unfortunately those coolers are not going to fit. For graphics card clearance, there is up to 13 inches if you're going to be using that top slot on the board. If you're using something lower or even going for a dual GPU system, then there is a limitation there of up to 11.5 inches before it touches that hard drive cage. So, you know, good clearance there for different cards. Around the back of the motherboard tray, there is less than a centimetre of clearance between the tray and the side panel, which can make that cable management tricky. As you can see, we've been able to neatly arrange our cables there. You just have to take a little bit more time, and we've also used the, part of the storage cage in order to tuck away those cables. Unfortunately, aside from the 120mm spot at the back, there is no area for mounting a water cooling radiator or an all-in-one solution. There is 240mm support at the very front, but sadly those hard drive cages are riveted, so without any advanced modding we can't install these type of coolers. Okay, lastly then, I'm going to power the system up, get my microphone as close to that rear exhaust fan as possible, and it should just give you a bit of a rough idea as to how loud it is. I'm sure many of you are intrigued. So hit the power button. So that's pretty much it. And as you can see, not very loud at all. It's only one cooling fan inside NEOS, so you can't expect very much anyway. And that is a low noise fan regardless. Well, that is the new BitFenix NEOS, and as we said from the outset, this is BitFenix's most aggressively priced case to date. And although this case only costs £30, $50, you're still getting some superb features for such a low cost. And the standout aspect for me with this particular case has to be the myriad of different designs which are available. And that means that you can construct, you can build a system and coordinate it in exactly the style and the colour that you want, and it still retains that sense of elegance and subtlety. Now there are obviously a few shortfalls with this case though, and the limitation with the CPU cooler is one that stands out, the lack of dual radiator support, and of course over at the back there we've got those disposable PCI covers. But for the money it's really hard to dispute such cutbacks, and I'm certain that this new case is going to be a top pick for anyone wanting to build an entry-level machine. So guys, as always, the full review is going to be in the description along with the cooling, and thanks very much for taking the time out to watch this video. Please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.